reelside to answer. Speaker. Hello?
Hello, is this Sue?
This is Sue and Tim.
Hi. This is Raj Packer.
Hi, Raj. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm gonna turn this up. There we go. We're good. It's sunny out. We're outside. we took the opportunity to just run outside and get air. Air and daylight.
That's smart. That's smart.
From the basement. You can imagine our joy.
Yes. Yes. Get some vitamin D.
Yeah. So I'm going to start off with just saying I had no idea reelside existed until we got the opportunity to talk to you. And then I'm like, why have we not been watching this the entire time? This looks amazing.
Awesome. I'm glad. It's funny that has been a bit of a common response, and I guess it's just one of those things where it's on a pay channel, and it's not Game of Thrones or True Detective. Yeah. So there's so much good content out there that it's easy to just sort of it's harder to get discovered by people, but anybody who does seems to really love it. So thank you for the opportunity of doing this, because that's what helps us get the word out there.
That's true.
For sure. Now, what was the impetus behind designing the show in the first place? I mean, it's all very Canadian, which is great. I love the idea of Canadians in Hollywood and going on a road trip with Don McKellar and of course talking about science with Orphan Black. Who came up with the idea? What was the drive behind it?
Well, there's two ways I want to answer that, and the first one is just about addressing the Canadian aspect of it. And I always love waving the flag and promoting our own talent and all that stuff. But it wasn't specifically designed with a desire to showcase Canadians. The idea, I mean, there is a bit of, because it's commissioned by a Canadian broadcaster, there was a bit of in terms of programming regulations and where it fits, they did have to have a bit of a special focus for Canadians, but we deliberately designed it with people involved that would have a lot of recognition outside our borders, so that it wouldn't just be of interest to Canadian population, and be something that Americans would be interested in, something that they'd be interested in overseas too. So that's why you have names like Stephen Amell, who
has that little show.
Good old Canadian boy, but Arrow's like a pretty big hit show now.
Yeah.
And Orphan Black, a lot of people don't even know it's a Canadian show. Right. Of course, George Romero, he's actually not a Canadian citizen, though he lives in Toronto now.
Yeah. He counts.
And then the other side of it, where the show came from, is a few years ago we did a series called The Raw Side Up for the Independent Film Channel, IFC, and it was exactly the same premise as this, except covering bands instead of actors and directors. And again, that was one of those shows that anybody who saw it loved, but it didn't get spread broadly. IFC sort of a niche channel, and it was the one time that IFC in Canada was commissioning programming. So that did really well for us. We got a couple of Gemini nominations at the time, and when we were in with the Movie Network a few years ago, they talked about how much they loved that series and wondering if we had anything in development that covered film and TV rather than music. But did the same sort of thing, and we did. So that led to a commission from the Movie Network, which was obviously really, really exciting. So, and I mean, the premise behind it is to really give a lot of creative latitude to the various directors that we're working with, to allow them to really express their own vision of whatever story they're telling.
Very cool.
Very.
Wow.
Is it, are you able, like, people who don't have access to the Movie Network, are we able to watch it online? Like, are they posting it on their site?
Not yet, and the reason is it's a co-commission between between the Movie Network and Movie Central. It's one of those weird, archaic quirks of the Canadian broadcasting system where the Movie Network has the rights to pay TV in Eastern Canada and Movie Central in Western Canada, but they're different broadcasters. They often commission things together, and they did in this case. But then to add to the quirk, Movie Central is holding its premiere of the series in the fall.
Oh, Lord.
So, yeah, so until Movie Central does its premiere, TMN is only broadcasting it on the channel and then keeping it on, like it is on demand, but it's not on the website. And so once Movie Central premieres, it will be a little bit more widely available. And we're also working with Tricon as our distributor, and they will be distributing to all other platforms and countries.
Sweet.
Very cool. Now you've got some big names, obviously, like Stephen Amell, Seth Rogen, John Fawcett, Graham Manson,
Sarah Gaden.
Is there anybody you would chase after for season 2?
Well, there are a lot of different people. One of the aspects of doing this show, because each one is its own unique thing, we had a lot in the hopper. A lot of episodes that we developed that didn't quite go. So we'd like to, if we were to do a season 2, we'd be revisiting a lot of those names. We had been doing an early sort of development look at Paul Gross doing his war film in Afghanistan, which would have been pretty exciting to do. Would love to work with Katie Boland. She had a couple of good ideas. What's interesting, like Stephen Amell, for instance, this series has been in production for a few years, and the reason we were given sort of the latitude to be able to take the time we needed to get it right, to get the right stories, to get the right people. But it's funny because when we started, we initially pitched Stephen Amell, and he wasn't nearly as big as he was, and it didn't quite get traction with the broadcaster. They weren't. But by the end of the series, then it was obviously very exciting to have him on board.
That's awesome.
And so it's neat to see some of these people that we wanted to work with grow into even bigger names. Sarah Gadden too. So somebody like Katie Boland could be really huge in a couple of years, and so that's another person we'd like to work with. We did have something in the works with Donald Sutherland and Christopher Plummer.
Oh my God.
Which could still be a possibility, and that would just be beyond incredible.
Right?
So, yeah.
Wow.
But it's been, it's a really humbling experience. Sometimes when we're shooting, we kind of look at each other and it's like, this is our job?
Sue and I do that on a regular basis.
We do that a lot. How do we get to do this?
Yeah.
That's very cool. What is the coolest thing you've learned so far in the course of the season?
I think I've relearned. Okay, when you get sort of when you're in the middle of production on a series like this, it's easy to, because there is so much creative room. It's easy to get worried that you sort of get lost in the thought of what is this going to end up looking like? Like, is it going to be any good at all? Like, sort of trusting creative instinct and hoping it turns out. And I guess it's relearning that trusting that instinct is often the right way, because with the final product, we're so excited, and everybody else seems really excited about it too. So, that trust is justified. And it's easy to turn off that voice out of fear. And so, going against the fear and letting it happen is something that is a lesson that needs to be learned over and over again.
That is actually a really good lesson. Oh, man. I should try to learn that lesson. So, first season, 6 episodes long.
Yep.
Season, or rather, episode 4 just aired, I think?
That's right, last night.
Yeah, with Graham Manson and John Fawcett.
John Fawcett wasn't in it. It was Graham Manson. And the reason it's good, so another thing with the series is that often the way we pick directors is based on a pre-existing relationship.
Okay.
So for episode 4, for instance, my co-director and I, Matthew Lochter, we have a long-standing friendship with Graham because he worked with us on our series Rent-A-Goalie a few years ago. He was the main writer on that.
Nice.
So he remains a good friend. So that was our in there. And then so it's just Graham, but we also have Michael Hogan and Jesse Wente.
Yep.
And Vincenzo Natali.
Oh, man. Good list.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, Vincenzo, he is friends with my producing partner. Jesse Wente works with the woman who runs publicity at TIFF, Emily, and she was our publicist on Rent-A-Goalie back when it was on Showcase. And Michael Hogan is the father of Gabriel Hogan, who also worked on Rent-A-Goalie.
Oh, that's so cool.
There's a lot of relationship in there. So, yeah.
But that's how it works, right? I mean...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's fantastic.
You know, some of the words that other people have used to describe it, I was sitting with a producer friend of mine the other day, and he just had watched it for the first time, and he used words like, he loved the texture, and he loves the collaging, and they're very sort of artsy words, but those are some of the words that I would definitely say do describe sort of our creative treatment of it. And there is a lot of care put into the actual visual treatment of the series as well. It's not just a series of interviews with people, which would be cool too, but we wanted it to be a lot better than that. So. Yeah. And we go in and we use 8mm film, like Super 8.
Oh, nice.
There are segments shot on 16mm. There's even a couple sequences in next week's episode that were shot on 35mm.
Dude.
Yeah, so it's fun. Next week's episode is a lot of fun. It's exploring the road trip movie genre with Don McKellar and Bruce McDonald.
Yes.
Wicked.
Directed by Matthew Hannum, and it is by far the funniest episode of the 6.
Oh, that's wicked.
And,
I can't imagine.
Yeah, it's a real treat. Yeah.
Cannot wait. That is perfect. Raj, thank you for your time.
Yeah.